Hello everyone and welcome to another one of our Nimue masterclasses. So today we are going to take a look at growth factors, peptides and how they really influence Nimue's treatments and also of course Nimue's products. For those of you who have never seen me before or who I haven't met online, my name is Vicky Convey and I am the International Educator for Nimue Skin Technology. So let's get into our presentation. So as I said, looking at the world of growth factors and peptides, this is definitely something that is not going away. For example, the quest to stay younger, anti-aging treatments, environmentally damaged skin is always, sort of top of trends, of treatments, of sort of industries, what's happening. And I would definitely say at the moment, it has never been bigger. There's a huge boom with the aesthetics industry, and there is also a huge boom with our younger generation. I don't quite agree with this one. This is a TikTok here. I'll just play the video for you. So a 10-year-old using a lot of skincare products. And there is this whole rejuvenation that is happening trend-wise. So our youth of today also wanting to use peptides, maybe even growth factors, which would be quite scary. And you can see using the extra little modalities as well, bless her. Not something I agree with for a 10-year-old. But the quest to reverse the signs of aging, as I say, rejuvenation, keeping our, preventative from aging has never been bigger. So what are we looking for when it comes to treatments, when it comes to ingredients, when it comes to Nimue? Well, clients are definitely looking for products that deliver results, products that can treat wrinkles, fine lines. Also, people want to have a lifting, so a lifting anti-age appearance around the eye area. They're also very knowledgeable when it comes to ingredients and science and what is the latest and what is the greatest. And of course, it's not just procedures and treatments that we offer. It is the aesthetic and even the non-surgical treatments that is on the rise. So it's not just your Botox and your fillers. It is all of the rejuvenating treatments, your lasers, your vampire facials, your PRPs. So all of this is ultimately the quest to reverse the signs of aging or to keep us looking as young as possible. And for us, we know for many, many years that peptides really hold the magic. So what are peptides? For those of you who are not aware of what peptides are, I'm just going to do a bit of a recap and then tell you about our amazing peptides that we use within Nimue. So peptides look very much like a string of pearls. So this to me looks like a pearl necklace. They are a chain of amino acids. So imagine they are your pearls on a necklace. Each pearl is an amino acid and they all have different functions. So they are essential for building proteins. They also help to synthesize hormones, neurotransmitters, and are really essential for many processes within our skin. So as you can see here, they play a huge sort of key role with regulating other molecules as well. So not just an anti-aging perspective. They are very different and it depends on the peptide chain, how many amino acids, to what you want them to do. So they can mimic a lot of your skin's functions. As you can see here, they connect with the receptors on your cells within your skin. They work very similar to retinol in the fact that they need to get into the cell. They need to, work with the DNA, the RNA, work with our fibroblast cell to, of course, have a anti-aging effect within the skin. Ultimately, a lot of peptides are known to increase collagen synthesis. That's how they particularly work. In particular, you'll see here palmitoid tripeptide, tri meaning a chain of 3 acids, then you've got pentapeptide, and so on and so forth. Sometimes they're also listed as matrixyl, but as I said, their results working within the skin is very similar to our retinol. Now, at Nimue, you know that we also use other peptides like oligopeptide. Our oligopeptides have fewer amino acids, so they have anything from 2 to 15. We also use polypeptides, which have many amino acids. There is neuropeptides, which we know are going to work on inhibiting the body's signals, weakening muscle contractions, so therefore you have less noticeable wrinkles. For example, we've got acetyl hexapeptide, which you know that we use already, which blocks the release of a chemical called acetylcholine. So that is really working to weaken those muscle connections, almost having that sort of that relaxed muscle look, which again is what clients are wanting, to even out the muscles and not have such deep wrinkles. So how do they function? They function by cell signaling. So in essence, if you think of almost like a postman posting a letter through the box, they bring the message into the cell, which triggers an action. They are called biomimetic. So they mimic what happens in nature, which is why they're so successful within the skin, because they mimic our skin's natural functioning and natural cell signaling, you could say. They are great at communication. They communicate with the cell's DNA, telling the cell what protein it needs to produce. So, for example, the fibroblast cell, it mimics the cell's signaling to enable the cell then to produce more collagen, more elastin, which is what we want. DNA within the cells produces genes which tell the skin what proteins to form. So this is where we really want to target within our cells to help your cells to naturally start to stimulate more collagen and elastin, which, as we know, starts to deplete as we age. So this is a great visual for you to see the science. So as I said, your cell contains receptors. So here you can see you've got the cell membrane. Here you've got the nucleus of the cell, and then you've got the cytoplasm inside the cell. So working like a lock and key, it is the mechanism of it being absorbed in through the cell membrane and transported inside of the cell to then transfer into the nucleus, which of course is home to the DNA and RNA, for it to truly work its magic. Now, the peptides that we use in Nimue, you may be aware of these and you may be shocked to see that we actually use so many. And I think it's good to just remind ourselves at not only the rejuvenation aspect that we're having from our peels, but coupled with things like peptides, coupled with things like stem cells, growth factors, retinoids, vitamins, antioxidants, delivery systems. This is what truly brings the magic to Nimue. So let's take a look at some key peptides that we use. As you can see, we've got tripeptide, which is our chain of 3 amino acids. So that is our pill necklace with 3 pills on it. We've got our tetrapeptide 9, which stimulates collagen. So that is going to be in your products that's mainly going to work on collagen, decreasing wrinkle depth. Octopeptide 8, which also works at decreasing wrinkles. Polypeptide, stimulating collagen, elastin. Cyclotetrapeptide, these are all mouthfuls, which is working on a reduction in wrinkles. Palmitoid pentapeptide, again working on fibroblasts, fibronectin, glycosaminoglycans. Then our famous lipopeptide. One peptide does so much, and I absolutely love this one. It has 6 skin building essentials. So our lipopeptide, which is in our sensitive TDS, not only does it strengthen the skin and strengthen those capillary walls, but it induces collagen, fibronectin, hyaluronic acid, laminin 5, which is present in the dermal epidermal junction. So it really is that supportive mechanism for our structure of our skin, for of course the structure of our capillaries to make them a lot stronger. But it also has an amazing anti-aging. So 6 skin building essentials just in one product, as well as all of those amazing ingredients that you find within all of Nimue TDS. If we have a look now at the particular product, so I've named the peptides, now we can link the products together. We have our anti-aging serum. Amazing serum. I absolutely love this. You've got your palmitoid tripeptide, you've got your vitamin C in there, really working on brightening, stimulating your collagen, and it just feels great. I love it this time of year, where winter in the UK, where my skin just needs a little bit of brightening. Our eye serum has 2 peptides in there, palmitoid pentapeptide 4 and palmitoid tripeptide 3, rejuvenating, firming, helping with our collagen synthesis. And then our famous anti-aging products. We launched these 2 together with that amazing Tetrapeptide 24, which helps to maintain skin rejuvenation. Of course, both having amazing effects at plumping the skin. You've got your filling spheres in your eye cream, in your leave-on mask. You've got your papain, so a lovely mask that is going to rejuvenate the skin, as well as having that anti-aging properties. An amazing, firming, luxurious product, our Skin Refirmer. This is such a good seller, a perfect treatment for our environmentally damaged, lackluster, loss of elastin, kind of a cream that you could say you could build up to with Nimue. Because it doesn't have any acids in there, this is a great one to introduce after they've started on Nimue. So once you've got your clients on your phase 1, phase 2, you've got that whole rejuvenation kicking in, which we know is essential, especially when you age, because you're just not exfoliating as quick. Once you've used your, say, Nimue Day, Multi-Day Plus, maybe then go on to Skin Refirmer. You've got an array of peptides in this formula, as well as additional ingredients. So let's take a look at the key peptides. We've got peptide complex, which is reducing muscle contractions, helping with collagen synthesis. We have our 4 peptides in that peptide complex: Polypeptide and Tetrapeptide, working specifically on collagen and rejuvenation. We then have Octopeptide and Hexapeptide, which is that wow peptide that works on that muscle contraction. So almost having a Botox-like effect. So that's why we used to call it Botox in a jar. But of course, we've now transitioned to the tube. So it is our Botox in a tube, a perfect cocktail of peptides to work on collagen, muscle contraction, and helping with synthesis. We then have our TDS. Here you can see interactive, as it was formerly known. So our Nimue TDS for sensitive skin with that amazing lipopeptide. I just mentioned those 6 skin building essentials, not only working on strengthening the capillaries, building the collagen, strengthening fibronectin, and working on that whole dermal epidermal junction support, where you've got your dermis and your epidermis meeting together, strengthening and having that rejuvenating process within the skin. Then we introduced later on into Nimue our fantastic AI range, working completely differently to Nimue, not hydroxy acid based, but working rather on somebody's lifestyle, life story, and of course all of those genetic changes that we see as we age, whether it is a lot of intrinsic aging, so our natural aging, or our extrinsic aging due to external factors, sun, pollution. In our AI range, you have got some true magic happening. The particular peptide that we use in combination with other ingredients, which of course is working on our almost our DNA and our RNA of our cells, and changing, you know, the kind of pathway that they're working on. Our particular peptides that we have is a combination. We have colloidal platinum and acetyl tetrapeptide 17. So working alongside those amazing ingredients that we have already in AI, we have our anti-wrinkle peptides and anti-aging. And then, of course, not forgetting our faders. Our faders has our tetrapeptide, our nonopeptide, and our octopeptide, giving you radiance, helping with that whole restoration, helping to brighten the skin, really helping to work on melanogenesis. So this is throughout the whole of the fader line. And of course, the hero ingredients there are peptides with our ODA, with our vitamin C, working on all areas of antioxidation, brightening, and of course, helping to restore skin radiance and brighten the skin. I wanted to just highlight one of the peptides so you could visually see how the peptides work within the skin. So here we have the structure of collagen. Now, when we have collagen, which as you know is in our dermis, it is made up of, you can see here, many different fibers. And I often use the analogy of a lace, that when you take the plastic out of the lace, if you pull all of the strands out, it would kind of look like this. The other thing that you could visualize is like a plait. So if I was to plait my hair, your collagen is a triple helix, so meaning that you've got three, and you can see the polypeptide chain there that is woven together like a plait with many different plaits or microfibrils together. So imagine that you had lots of plaits packed, I can't get my words out, packed tightly together. That would be your microfibril. Many microfibrils then would be your collagen fiber. So if you were to pull that lace out of the shoe, you would see it all entwined, and then many different fibers then would form your shoelace. As we age, this becomes disorganized, and that's how come we have that wrinkle effect. When we look at our tetrapeptide and how it works, it is going to strengthen all areas of our collagen fiber. Sorry, if I go back here, it is going to work on inducing collagen production. So helping your collagen to strengthen, to build, strengthening this polypeptide chain, which in turn is going to strengthen the fibril and the fiber. Our hexapeptide, which we spoke about already, which is in our skin Refirmer. So this particular peptide works, as I mentioned earlier, by releasing what is called a neurotransmitter, which is called acetylcholine. The muscle fiber has acetylcholine receptors in it, so working again like that lock and key. So you can see here, you've got the receptors here, acetylcholine then locking together. It activates that receptor action, muscle contraction occurs. The hexapeptide avoids or diminishes that acetylcholine uptake. So as you can see, that lock and key just doesn't happen. That key doesn't fit into the lock. So therefore, you don't have that muscle contraction. So it is working on the neurotransmitters in particular. And of course, it is avoiding that acetylcholine from binding with the receptor site in order to contract the muscles. And that is your hexapeptide. So let's take a look now at growth factors. So peptides have been around for many years and are still growing and constantly, evolving. You will see lots of new peptides coming out on the market. Growth factors are a little bit newer to the industry. We've known about them for a long time because, of course, we work on them with our microneedling. So growth factors are naturally occurring substances. They are also capable of stimulating cells, in particular, stimulating the growth of new cells, aiding with wound healing, which is why it's essential to have growth factors stimulated with microneedling, the combination of appeal. And they also help with your cells to differentiate, meaning that your cells are able to travel up the layers of the skin, begin with desquamation and slough off. So aiding with that whole kind of rejuvenation and, as it says there, cellular differentiation. They also help to stimulate the proliferation of epidermal cells, so aiding with almost a form of exfoliation. I'd like to share with you a video now, and the video really gives you a visual understanding of how our body works and how these cells are just instrumental, and they all play their huge part in almost like a dance of life, you could say. So here you can see many cells merging, the nucleus of the cells. You can see they come in all shapes and sizes. Your microbiome, your stem cells in your body, the mitosis, where one becomes two, the protection. Of course, you've got the reproductive aspect, the transportation. The fact that they're just constantly working, and it almost looks like a factory, but they're all busy binding together, creating protection, energy. I love that. That's the macrophage cell, which we're going to discuss in a moment. The receptors you can see binding to the cells together. The neuron responses, the bacterial responses. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it's important to see our cells, how they work, and that video just shows it so well. So many cells all working like a little factory, as I said. They've all got specific jobs to do and functions to do. So some of those cells you'll see in that video there are stem cells. So there's many different stem cells within the body, where of course one becomes two, and they go through a process of mitosis. And of course, there's many different stem cell technologies out there. some a little bit controversial. But for us with skincare, this is great how we can stimulate our skin's natural stem cells and learning so much about stem cells with plants because, of course, they have the ability to constantly renew. You trim or you prune a plant and it grows again. And that's what we love. And that's what we're really looking at with this whole development of plant stem cells. That macrophage cell that you saw, it was so visual in that video. Here you can see part of the immune system, how it ate and engulfed any bacteria, any waste, how it's part of our skin's natural immunity and how it helps to, remove waste from the skin, or it sees, particular things as a threat and it will, start to work. Then you've got the fibroblast cell working. You could see those receptor sites binding together so that it can stimulate our collagen and our elastin. So stem cells, multicellular organisms, macrophage cell, which are specialist cells of the immune system. They go through phagocytosis, which is where it eats and engulfs and destructs any bacteria. Fibroblast cell, which is essentially producing your collagen, elastin, which we know is great for aging or anti-aging, and also key for wound healing. It knits us back together. It helps, close any open wounds. And that is, essentially what we are doing with our microneedling. So stem cells can be described as your body self-repair kit. They have the potential to develop into many different cells within our body. So we particularly, of course, look at how we can stimulate our skin stem cells, how we can stimulate fibroblast cells, but they are also present in brain, muscles, nerves, as well as the skin. Our fibroblast cell we're so interested in, and again, you saw that in the video here, how it looks here, is responsible for building your collagen and your elastin. It is mostly found within the dermis. You will find it in connective tissue. And whenever I teach about histology, anatomy, I always say we think of our fibroblast cell, yes, for collagen production, but our capillaries are also made of collagen. So in order to strengthen capillaries, we also need to stimulate the fibroblast cell, and that's why it's key for things like microneedling. Also, your collagen plays such a critical role with wound healing. So yes, it is, essential for an anti-aging aspect, but we also want our fibroblast cell to constantly keep working, because if we do have any injuries, cuts, scars, wounds, we want our skin to heal as quickly as possible. You know that it does degrade with age. If I look at my son, he heals very quickly. If I have a cut, I heal a lot longer. So that shows you that whole decline in collagen and elastin. That macrophage cell, again, another great visual of it here. It originates from your monocytes, so your white blood cells. It basically initiates inflammation. It goes through phagocytosis, where it eats and engulfs that bacteria or whatever, has caused that inflammatory cascade. And then it also releases cytokines, which are like little messenger cells that activate various specific cells, T cells, B cells within your immune system. So cytokines, like I said, little messenger cells. So you can see with the video visual here, they stimulate specific responses. So for example, they might go to a particular white blood cell and they might say, can you please tell collagen that can you please tell, the fibroblast cell that we need collagen, we need to close this wound. Can you please tell the cell we need to release histamine? We want more blood to the area. So I always think of it as like little people, little messenger cells that is released by our cells. So our cell language, our sort of growth factors, stimulating all of these cells can be used for many, many different purposes. When it comes to growth factors and in particular stem cells, they were first discovered in the 50s. The interesting fact is that they've won a Nobel Prize in 1986. You will see them a lot more now. You might have clients asking about them. They know about polypeptides, proteins. They know about the fact that they keep you looking young. They reverse the signs of aging. But of course, when it comes to, in particular, stem cells, embryonic stem cells, there is the controversy with what type. So, of course, using plant stem cells, using something that is mimicking our skin's natural responses is key. So when we look at growth factors and stem cells, they are really helping to stimulate our cells, stimulate our biochemical pathways so that cells can start to, do their normal processes, so to speak. So they can divide quickly. They go, as I say, through the layers of the skin much quickly. They go through apoptosis, which is cell suicide or survive. So whether you get rid of your old cells to produce more new cells. They also help with movement of going through the layers of the skin and adhesion as well. So they do so much. And of course, paired with cytokines, so little messengers telling them where they need to go and what they need to do. Now, when we inflict a wound within the skin, so thinking in particular collagen induction therapy, whether it's with our roller, whether it's with a device, when there is a wound, you are going to go through 4 unique phases. These phases are essential for your skin to rebuild itself, to have reepithelialization, to have collagen and remodeling. So here you can see you enter the first phase within a few minutes. So if you were to do a treatment with your needling, that would be the first few minutes. What happens is blood will come to the surface of the skin, very much like if you were to injure your skin on a thorn or a needle if you were sewing. Blood, oxygen, nutrients is coming to the area. As you know, we don't want to inflict too much trauma, so we don't want our skin to be, full of blood. We just want it to be injured, that it goes through that inflammatory stage, proliferation stage, and remodeling stage. And that's why collagen induction takes time. Initially, you see that kind of rejuvenation effect and proliferation, which is the sort of second, third day after your needling treatment. The remodeling takes longer because you need to stimulate your collagen. Now, with your proliferation here, your proliferation can sometimes result in a little bit of dead skin on the surface. And this is good because it means that it's aiding your skin to go through its natural process of moving up the layers and sloughing off. And that's ideally what we want to achieve. Remodeling is where we can start to play around sort of this area here and home care with stimulating our skin's natural remodeling phase with things like our Refirmer, our AI, anti-aging mask, eye cream, and all of those amazing peptides that I've spoke about. Now, when we look at our growth factors in particular, when we have microneedling happening, we are also stimulating our skin's natural growth factors. They work very similar to peptides in the fact that it is a lock and key mechanism that is going to signal specific effects from the cell. So here you have your cell. Surrounding your cell, you have little receptors here, and here you can see your growth factors. They lock in together. It is going to signal with cytokines, transcription factors, different proteins. What does your cell need to do? Does it need to go through proliferation, differentiation, or cell suicide? So all of this is happening when we perform something like microneedling. Now, when you have growth factors applied on the skin, they work in a very similar mechanism. As you know, with our MD products in particular, we use growth factors in that. So when your growth factor is being applied in your formula, it is binding to the receptor of the cell. Your receptors recognize this due to the shape, the structure. So that lock and key, it says this key, I know it, it enters this lock, we can open the door. That initiates specific pathways that allows for cellular growth, differentiation, as we said, maybe cell suicide. So they work very similar to your peptides, very similar to your retinoids. Now, bringing it back to our microneedling, when you are microneedling, because not only are you inducing collagen, you are also stimulating various different types of growth factors. So here you can see you've got TGFB, which is your transforming growth factor, which in particular is stimulating keratinocytes, which is why you get that proliferation and maybe a bit of dead skin on the surface. Your fibroblast cell, because it's initiating collagen because there is a wound. You've got your fibroblast growth factor, which of course is aiding with collagen, helping really for that wound to kind of knit back together. And also you have your epidermal growth factor being stimulated, which is helping with cellular growth, stimulating collagenase as well. So all of these are happening when you do your microneedling. If you are doing your microneedling twice a week, let's just say, for example, these are being stimulated all the time. So they're actually being stimulated before they even get to the surface, before they even effectively start working. So that's why it's essential not to overstimulate this process. Work with your skin's natural processes and natural cell cycles and differentiation. Otherwise, you are just, overstimulating the skin. Combining microneedling with, of course, a rejuvenating peel, which is working completely different, is the perfect combination. So how do these particular growth factors get stimulated? So here you can see you've got your collagen induction therapy happening using any type of pen, needles, whatever it might be, even in laser resurfacing and fractional resurfacing, as well as your microneedling. Channels are being created, growth factors are being stimulated, and then of course we add to that channels by helping with the penetration of active ingredients. So this is really key, where it works on two areas, the delivery and also stimulation of collagen and stimulation of growth factors. So we spoke about the various growth factors that are being released. So just to recap, you've got platelet growth factors, you've got transforming growth factors, you have your fibroblast growth factor, and of course you've got your epidermal growth factor as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a bit of controversy around using growth factors. So it is definitely looking at the source. So is it plant? Is it animal? This is a little bit of background for you on the safety. So here you can see EGF is mitogenic, which stimulates cell proliferation, but not mutagenic. So it's not going to alter the cell. So you're not going to have this extreme abnormality just by using growth factors. EGF products are designed to help to rejuvenate and to stimulate your skin's natural processes. With over 40 years of research, EGF is shown to be safe and is approved for use without restriction in the EU. EGF is critical chemical that we cannot function without it. And here the Australian government has also approved EGF in cosmetics after a safety review. So the only caution you need to take when using growth factors is if there is any abnormal skin disorder like your eczema or your psoriasis, where of course you've got a buildup of dead skin. You don't want your skin to produce more growth factors on top of that. And of course, if you've got a skin that is maybe more prone to keloid scarring, there is also, you need to be mindful of growth factors in products as well. So as I mentioned to you, it is the synergy of using peptides, retinoids, vitamins, acids that really brings, you could say, the music to life within Nimue. So yes, we have our three-phase system where you're going to use a combination of acids, microneedling, combination of peptides, hyaluronic acid, retinoids, vitamins, really to get the best results. And that's what we are all about, is delivering immediate results, helping to treat specific concerns. In this presentation, it's treating aging, reversing the signs of aging, keeping our skin looking as youthful as possible. Now, we know that it's not a case of, I'm going to come in and just have one microneedling session or one skin rejuvenation peel. A course of treatments really is going to help you achieve those results. So what do we define as a course of treatments? Anything more than 4. Ideally, when we do our trials, we do between 6, 8, 12. It can be a combination. For example, it could be SRC, it could be using bioactive, right through to your smart resurfacer. Of course, you could slot in your microneedling, but you need to do a thorough consultation, assess the skin, assure there's no contraindications. Looking at the phototype of the skin plays a huge part. And then, of course, you can build a treatment program, whether it's bi-weekly treatments, every 3 or 4 weeks, and looking at treating that main concern. So where do you start when building a full comprehensive treatment program for your client? Of course, it's knowledge of Nimue, understanding their skin, understanding some possible triggers and tripwires that you need to be mindful of. Doing your research, so spending time looking at ingredients, looking at what they're doing at home, doing some, great prescription with changing up products with different seasons. So for example, here in the UK now, it's changing, it's getting a little bit colder. Of course, you're heading into summer. So, what do you need to change within somebody's routine? And then, of course, doing a thorough consultation, which also involves a thorough skin analysis. The benefits to you when you offer a course of treatments is, of course, your client is coming in to you on a regular basis, as opposed to once a month, you're not really seeing the results. They might be going elsewhere for a pampering treatment. You want to get them coming to you so that you can really deliver those results. That is going to increase turnover for you with treatments, with, of course, booking a course. That is going to deliver the results. That's what clients want. That's what they want to achieve. Loyalty with you, putting you as the professional, looking at an end goal with the client. And of course, helping with your expertise. Maybe you offer other treatments in your salon where you can do the combination of everything together. And then, of course, taking your client on the journey, checking in with your client. How are those products? Do we need to increase? Do we need to decrease? Do we need to change things up? So all of this has a huge impact and a benefit, not only to your client, but also to you and your business. So thank you so much for listening in. I hope this has helped to enlighten you with the wonderful world of peptides, growth factors, preventing aging, treating aging, and how we can do that combination of treatments with Nimue. So thank you for your commitment to Nimue. Thank you for watching this, and I wish you all the best.